Right, so have a look at this. We have, actually, I'm going to have a look because this was from the bottom of the deck, right? The underlying energy comes from there. So if what are we walking away from? Like whenever the Eight of Cups comes up, I'm going to have a look in a moment. But whenever the Eight of Cups comes up, we are leaving something behind, right? We're done with it. Doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't have any kind of emotional. We're just done. That's why it's so easy to leave those 8 cups around. They look amazing, right? Beautiful, shiny, lovely cups in this deck. And this person's like, yeah, no, I want my 9 cups. I want my heart's desire. Now, think about it. It's taken this person a lot of time and energy to collect all of these 8 cups. So it could be something that you've invested a lot of time in. Your work, your relationships, whatever it is. Now, this doesn't actually physically mean walking away. Doesn't physically mean walking away. It's cups. We're emotionally done. But for some people, when we're emotionally done with the situation, that can lead to us physically walking. But at its core, the message of this card is, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I want to feel more. I want my heart's desire. I deserve more. Beautiful energy. That's why I love that so much. I always see the 8 of Cups as a card of progress. Because even if you're leaving something behind, emotionally, whatever, right? You are moving towards something else. And that's why I actually did want to have a look. Yeah, look, 8 of Wands. We have another 8 coming up underneath the 8 of Cups. And that's just it. This could be you're walking away to go find some more information, to go communicate, to look at different opportunities. But whatever you've had, has been available to you in the past, you don't want that. You're done with that. And that's actually very fertile ground in which to sow new seeds and to create newness. And why am I saying that? Because we have the Empress there in the middle. But I just want to pop, I'll come back to her in just a moment. I want to pop over to the Two of Swords here. Because if we're leaving something behind, it serves us to look at what's been going on. What led to this emotion of I'm done and whatever. You've been trying to make 2 truths work. That's what it is. This is that it's indecisive, yes. But why? Why is this person not making a decision? Because that's what it represents. Each one of those is a sort of truth. She's trying to make 2 truths work and they don't work. They don't work. And that's the whole point of the Two of Swords is we're trying to keep the status quo. We're trying to keep things stable, but your arms get tired. I don't care how much you lift. That is exhausting, trying to hold 2 swords there, trying to make 2 truths work. This can be inner conflict. This can be a situation where there's 2 different parties or 2 different people and their truths clash. And it could be that someone's been compromising their truth or been trying to maintain the situation but the 2 truths don't work. Ultimately, with the Two of Swords, one of those swords has to get put down and one truth prevails, right? But what I love about your spread is whatever this truth is, whatever that decision is that needs to be, it's getting made from this very emotional place. Very emotional place. I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't want to feel like that anymore. And it's not kind of like a woe is me, my life sucks, or, any of that. It's like, right, done with this. And I'm assuming you figured out what your truth is. It's very much, I kind of get the sense that whatever this was, because think about it. The Two of Swords, after this is the Three of Swords. So that's when we heal from that pain. We look at the stories, the triggers, whatever has upset us. That's the heartache, the pain that comes from having made that decision. And the implication here is that you've been through that because there is no more pain. I just don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm just done. That's why the focus is on the new. What you're trying to grow, what you're trying to create. The Empress, she's the mother in the tarot. She's actually called the mother in some tarot decks. But she's very much about creating something new. Giving birth to something new. Now, what the Empress realizes is that, and I point this out always, especially if we look at the kind of metaphor that she represents of the mother. The mother understands that it takes time to conceive a baby, to then be pregnant, right? Nurture and grow that baby and then give birth. And once we give birth to it, it requires even more nurturing and caring, right? That's the Empress. She invests her time into creating whatever it is. She understands that the projects that she gives birth to, whatever she's trying to create, and she is a card of abundance. It requires nurturing and nothing just happens, right? And I always say that. So this is looking towards new. There's, what am I trying to grow? And, that seems like a very obvious thing to say. There's a lot of us that don't put any emphasis on the new year starting, but a lot of people do, right? And this is that kind of like, well, I'm done with all of that. You know what you're done with. And the messages that have been coming up in the dailies on Instagram, they have been like this. It's like, wrap it up, say farewell to whatever we're saying. And that's kind of coming across very strongly. No more indecision. And this might not have been your choice. You know, sometimes our hands are tied, or she can't see clearly here. You might not have had all the facts. You might not have had all the information that you needed. Or, you know, I have to pay the bill, so I have to stay in that job. Or, you know, I don't know, this relationship, it's too good to leave, too bad to stay. You know, that kind of energy might have been going on. That's finished. The world says that. The world says that. So a lot of the energy here is wrapping up kind of energy, right? With the Eight of Cups and the World. But this is a victory card. And I think a lot of people forget that with the World card. It's a victory card. She's actually doing a victory dance here. And it's very interesting because if you look at her, it didn't come up in your spread, but if you look at it that way, it's very similar to the Hanged Man, right? The Hanged Man was nothing was shifting, nothing was changing. Because a change of perspective was needed. We need to let go of seeing something in a different way. A change of philosophy. What do I believe? Whatever changed with that, now we're here. That change in your perspective, the way that you see things now, understanding what you're worth, understanding that I deserve to have my heart's desire. You know, the new projects, whatever it is that you're looking to give birth to, abundance in all forms. That's the Empress. Whether it's emotional abundance, financial abundance, you know, whatever it is. This is a card of, I always see it as she's very attractive. But by attractive, I don't just mean by the way she looks. I mean, she's able to attract to herself whatever she wants. So with the World coming up here, yeah, you feel that. You feel that. And I think a lot of people have. I will talk about this. I'm going to be doing a live outro, so I will talk about it in that. But it does. But I think for the first time in very many years, this actually does feel like something is ending. Go forward. And this is a weekly reading, but it kind of sets us up, right? It kind of sets us up. This is where we are very forward focused and we're looking at what we're looking to create in the year to come. We can sometimes think that, you know, a lot of people have a lot of shit to say about 2018. And I get it. You know, it was a difficult year for a lot of people, but it taught you a lot. The World says that. And in fact, it's what gave you, after having gone through all of that, that's what's left you with this. You've done that. Whatever you worked on, great, did it, got to 8 of Cups. Now it's time for the 9 of Cups, right? That's the implication here. Now, what do we do? Once this ends, once we realize that, you know, we're being in this transitional phase, we're ready to step forward. How do you step forward? You step forward as the Page of Wands. As the Page of Wands. So what are we looking at here? It's not the Page of Cups, which is going to ask you to look at how you feel. It's not the Page of Swords, which is about, you know, what information do you have to work with. It's not even the Page of Pentacles, which is, you know, what am I trying to start? What physically can I do? What contracts do I need to sign? Where am I moving? What am I doing? What am I beginning? It's the Page of Wands. Get in touch with that inner muse. This is, and it's, you know, sitting underneath the Empress. This is very much inspiration I'm getting here. I always see the Page of Wands as the muse. What gets us excited? You know, it could, I mean, think about it. It could be the first stirrings of passion that we have for someone, right? We go to explore that. Ooh, why is it so exciting to see this person? Or, you know, you're going through some app store or something. I'm thinking, well, you know, there's not an app for this. That first idea. That's what this is. And it gets you excited. You know, when that first bit of excitement and enthusiasm hits, that's the Page of Wands. Now, what direction do you take that? Because trust me, you guys are equipped with the knowledge of where you don't want to take it. And that is actually a very good, that's a gift in and of itself, to know where you're not taking it. You know what you've completed. You know where you've been. You're sick of the indecision. I'd be very surprised, Capricorns, if you weren't just like, okay, I'm going to go do this. You know, and with this kind of energy, well, some of you may not, but you're being encouraged to take it in whatever direction. This card implies that you have the knowledge of that previous cycle. This says, you know, as long as you're willing to take the time to build this, to grow this, you can give birth to something great and new now, and you have the inspiration here to do it. So what stops you? What's the advice? The advice is the Magician. So you have 2 master manifestors coming up here. But manifestation is not we click our fingers and it happens. Manifestation is not I stare in the mirror and say an affirmation and it happens, right? It's that vision. It's the direction. It's our true north. It shows us this is what my heart desires and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. The Magician is here to say, okay, you do have the knowledge. Very much so have the knowledge, right? World tells you that. You have all the tools in front of you. like he does. And those are actually the aces, if you think about it. He has the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and which one am I missing? The Ace of Wands. So those are all the new beginnings. He has the potential to begin all these new cycles. Does he have the confidence to do it? Now, you do. It's coming up as advice, and it's telling you have everything that you need to go forward and to make this magic happen, because you are the alchemist. You're the magician. You're the one that channels the energy, directs, focuses your energy where it needs to go. But why would you be reminded about the confidence? Because where would the lack of confidence come from? That's how we read the spread, right? It would come from the Two of Swords. So whatever this was, I don't know if this was a decision that you regret that you made in the past, a decision that you were forced to make, or a decision that you did not make in the past. But the key thing here is it's in the past. Things are different now. Even that served you. Even whatever you did there, whether you regret the decision, made the decisions, it was someone else's, right? It's a general reading. It can go both ways. None of that. It's all gone. And the Magician is actually step one. It's number one in the major arcana. This is the true beginning. So we have an ending here. So if you look at the progression here, that would be the ending, number 21, right? 0 is the Fool, but we don't have the Fool here. We have the Page of Wands and very similar energy. What gets you excited? What new experience do you want? What new direction can you go in? And it's the Page. Pages are the very beginning. So it's okay if you're not sure about this. It's okay if it's something completely new. If people are going to say, well, Capricorn, that's not like you. Yeah, because it's not like me. Because the old me is done with all of this. I'm trying to create something new from a new inspiration. Beautiful. I love your reading, Capricorn. And I kind of feel this will hold true for a lot of people that are not even Capricorn. We all have Capricorn somewhere in our chart, right? Slow down. When you are excited, you get ahead of yourself. Take some time to allow things to unfold. That might be the biggest challenge here. Because when that inspiration hits, it's like, ooh, let's go. I want to do it. But it's the Page. And when we start off with the Page, and especially have a look. So we had that 8 of Wands that was at the beginning, right? That's very much about this too. If you think, have I got this upside down? No, I haven't. Thought I had it upside down. But yeah, that's very quick energy as well. But this is, it's Saturn's energy. It's slow energy. It's transitional. Say your bid farewell to that last cycle. And I know a lot of you will think, I've been doing it for years, Jay. I've been stuck in this for years. But you're waiting for some inspiration to hit. I mean, there's going to be that surge of energy. 8 of Wands says that, to go and create something, anything. But what is it that you truly want to create? What is this? What are your actual tools in front of you? What knowledge do you have? This is your toolkit. This is where we stop and think, okay, what's in my toolkit? What do I have to work with here? And there's still something about this. Whatever this decision was, that's it. It doesn't feel, it's like a shadow. That's how it's coming up. It's a shadow. But everything else is green lights. It's green lights. So just make sure that, you know, you could go bigger. Like, that's the whole point of this. That's why I get that. That's why we pause for a moment. To fully acknowledge what we've been through. To fully acknowledge, well, hang on a second. I went through that. I survived that, whatever it was for a lot of people. Completed it, learned my lessons, got what I needed to from those experiences. But I'm not going to be held back by the same stuff. I want you to think of it this way. You know that a movie like Groundhog Day or something like that, you know, if we're going through the same thing again and again. And I used this example recently actually for someone, but even if the same thing happens every day, you know, the same car comes around the corner, the same person says hello to you, same breakfast gets served to you, whatever it is, it's not the same day because you've changed. You retain all your memories. You know what happened the day before. You're starting to know how it works. So it's not the same day in that sense. And that's what this is. There's a message coming through for that. And that feels like what the pause is when you understand that. You might go into the same job this week. You might talk to the same person. You might love the same person. You might want that same hobby. You might still have that dream, but you are not the same. You are not the same. You have new tools in your kit to work with, and this is gone. Right. All right, my lovelies. Thank you for, you know, watching your reading. I am going to be doing a live outro. In fact, if you're watching this video, as soon as it's gone up, you should see a notification there of when I'm planning to do it. If not, it will already be up and I'll link it at the end of this video. But I love you guys very much. I will see you next time. That's all for now. Goodbye.